Please welcome the players onto court for our opening match. From England, Rachael Chadwick and her opponent and compatriot, seeded 5'8" for this year's AJ Bell British National Championships.
Welcome to the British National Squash Championships 2020, sponsored by AJ Bell here at Nottingham University. We have the first match of the day, Northwest rivals Rachael Chadwick against Julianne Courtice in quite a England-heavy day. There's only a couple of foreigners. There you see Alan Klein from Scotland and Joel Makin from Wales. But the first matchup is Chadwick and Courtice. Then we have Declan James and Pat Rooney. That should be an interesting match. Sarah Jane Perry and Kiera Marshall. Then James Willstrop, the defending champion, against Charlie Lee. Then there'll be a short break. And then Jasmine Hutton against Alice Green. Both quite young and up-and-coming players. Alan Klein of Scotland will be taking on Nick Wall, followed by Alison Waters and Lily Taylor. And then the last match on, number 1 seed Joel Makin of Wales against promising youngster Sam Todd. Well, I'm Simon Park, and joining me for this first match and the next 3 matches after this is Lewis Walters. How you doing, Lewis?
Hi Simon, how you doing?
Great to see you. It's been a while.
I know, yeah, it has. I've not been in the commentary box for a long time, actually.
And how are things with you? You're based back in Nottingham these days. I know you were in the States for quite a long time.
Yeah, I was in the States for 5 years actually at Yale University. I've actually been back in Nottingham now, so I actually work here at Nottingham University. Been here for the last 3 years, coached the teams here with Richard O'Connor and Mark Fuller.
Wow, yeah, it's a great setup here, isn't it? And fantastic for the students to be able to see the best squash in the UK and some of the best squash in the world. Actually, some really highly ranked players, both the men's and the women's draws.
Yeah, they're really good at Nottingham Uni with holding the events here. I mean, we had the European individuals last year, So that was great for the students, great for Nottingham as well to get such a big event based back in Nottingham. There hasn't been many big ones for a while. Obviously, back in the day we had the British Open here. That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
It's a very long time ago. I think you were still in nappies, weren't you, when that was going on?
Yeah, probably was actually.
Just about. It was at the was it the concert hall in Nottingham?
Yeah, so they had it at Albert Hall, and they actually had it in the university one year.
Yeah, I think that was the first year that Nick Matthew won the British Open.
It was. I actually remember that. He played Linker in the final.
That's correct. Good memory.
Yeah.
Well, back to these two. Julianne Courtice is the favourite in this match. She's currently ranked 32 in the world on the PSA rankings. Chadwick is in the 50s in the world, but as I say, these two know each other really well. Chadwick from Chester, Julianne Courtice from Manchester. Any thoughts on this match, Lou?
To be honest with you, Simon, I don't know these two players that well. I've obviously seen them occasionally, but I haven't watched them play for a long time. I think they're probably a similar age to me, maybe a little bit younger, so I watched them play in juniors, but I haven't seen them play recently, so this is it's going to be new for me.
Yeah. Well, I saw quite a bit of Chadwick when she got to the final of Nantes a few years back, which was a really good result for her. But only a couple of times since then. Julianne Courtice, as I say, 32 in the world. She likes to attack, as you can see from these first few rallies. Skillful player.
Yeah, and I think the glass court's going to suit that, isn't it? I mean, obviously Chadwick's pretty tall and long limbs. I think playing on the glass court for someone like that is tough, isn't it? Unless you're accurate and you can control the middle. If you've got someone sort of with a smaller frame like Courtice, who's chopping the ball in and moving you around, then it can be pretty awkward. Yeah,
definitely. She does play well actually on glass courts, Courtice, which is handy when you're a professional squash player.
It is, yeah.
But she takes the ball nice and early, hits it crisply, and she looks like she's in a hurry here, taking no prisoners.
She's off to a flying start here, 6-1.
Yeah, Chadwick, 54 in the world rankings, 29 years of age. I think she's here with her father, actually. It's going to need to give her quite a bit of support, I think, after this, the way this first game is going.
Obviously, you mentioned that they've played quite a lot before. They're both from the northwest. Do you think that's gonna? Whose favour is that gonna work in? Do you reckon that's gonna help Courtice because she's gonna be confident, or do you reckon Chadwick will take something from that? The fact that she's played Courtice a lot and she knows her game.
It's hard to say because I don't know these two well enough. I know from my experience, when I played somebody higher ranked, but I'd play them a lot, it favoured me because there wasn't any pressure on me and I felt like I could really go for it. It's not looking that way at the moment from Chadwick, although she's just picked up a couple of points now.
Yeah, again, I think this court, it's a fast court. And it can take a little bit of time to get used to the bounce on here. And
talking of bounces, that was a little bit fortunate. She needed it though, Chadwick.
Yeah, I think sort of she's starting to play her way into this a bit now, getting used to the bounce and the speed of the court. Just as I say that.
Commentator's curse, Luke. You learn all about that.
Yeah.
The next 4 matches.
Down. And out. 5-8.
Courtice she's 30 in the world, and she must be pretty highly seeded for this event.
get our team of researchers onto that one.
Stroke to Chadwick. Stroke.
I'm not happy with that one. Julianne
Ball was coming
Courtice,
straight back
she's
towards it.
absolutely flabbergasted. And I have to say, from that angle, it looked fairly short. It wasn't the best volley drop, but
No.
it was short enough, I felt.
Yeah, 100%. Chadwick's back in this now. 6-8. Within 2 points.
Yeah, that's one thing I do know about her, actually. She's a fighter. And that tournament I mentioned in Nantes, she had some hard matches to get there to the final. I think she lost out to Hannah Ramadan.
Oh, really?
Back then, who's also is she still here? She
No,
was
so
a
she
student here.
graduated in December. Yeah, but yeah, she was here for 4 years, did her undergrad and a master's in physiotherapy, and so she's just playing full time now. She's living back in Egypt.
Right, yeah, she's a talented player.
Yeah, she was great.
7-9.
She's one of the best players that we've had at Nottingham.
And a good team player as well.
Yeah, she was great. She got on with like all the girls, and obviously she was a lot better than most of the other girls that we had here, standard-wise. But she used to get on court with them all the time, and that helped them. It brought them their games along, and she was a good personality to have around as well.
Just another unforced error from Chadwick. She's done well to sort of get a bit of a run going in this first game, because it was looking a bit dire at 7-1. She's managed to get a little bit of respect here, and another point.
And out, 8-10, game ball.
Just one more, and Courtice could get a little bit edgy.
Yeah, she's in the danger zone if she gets one more. 9-10. I think if Chadwick does end up losing this game, this is positive for her going into the second, though. If she can carry on with this momentum.
That's a great lob. Look at that. As I mentioned, she was a fighter. She's probably not going to look at this as one of her best games of her career, but she's found herself within touching distance now in this first. Oh, how has she got to a tie break here? It's a great effort. Clearly struggling with the court in the first half of this first game. Now she's in with a chance of taking it. It's a double.
And out.
From Courtice's perspective, this is difficult, isn't it? When you've had, as you know, like when you've had a big lead, almost it's quite easy to switch off, and then obviously Chadwick's come back, and then trying to switch back on again is really difficult, isn't it? And try and get that focus back.
Yeah, it's been quite psychological this first game in terms of seesawing confidence. But Courtice isn't usually one to panic, and there the frustration from Chadwick. She was down and out in the first half, and then she managed to find her way back into the first game. Great shot going into the tie break, but it's Courtice that comes through the first 12-10 in 8 minutes.
15 seconds. Courtice leads 1 game to love. Love all.
So Julianne, Courtice kicking off this second game. What are your predictions for this one, Parky?
Well, I think Courtice, as we said, she's the favourite. She's over 20 places higher in the world rankings, and she didn't seem to panic too much there with the comeback from Chadwick. So in terms of this match, I'm gonna go with Courtice, but see, it doesn't look like it's going to be easy. That's a great shot from Chadwick.
And now 1 all.
Yeah, I think obviously towards the end of that last game, Chadwick was showing pretty good signs. So I think she's definitely going to get a game or two here. She's definitely in with a shout.
Down.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's hitting the ball with a bit more pace now, isn't she? You were talking about attacking on this court.
This is a common announcement. Could the first aiders for the school games please contact reception immediately? Thank you.
First aiders.
Well, I hope
school
it's
games.
nothing too serious. You probably hear that quite a lot working here,
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
especially in I don't know, hockey or handball.
Yeah, it's really good from
3
Chadwick now.
all. Right side.
It's really starting to move Courtice around, starting to find a feel at the front of the court.
Yeah, well, she's been coached by Phil Whitlock, who,
Yellow.
as you know, is very good tactically as a player and as a coach.
No.
And you can see that in Chadwick. It's been,
There's no video review.
as we keep saying, she had a
And
poor first half of the first game, but she's found a way to get herself into the match.
3 all.
Courtice coached by Annette Pilling.
Yeah, Net's here, I saw in the crowd.
And out.
Annette's
4,
been
3.
involved in the game for a long time. She's based in Manchester as well.
Yeah, I remember Annette from when I was a junior. Actually
That's
going-
a long time
I know
ago.
it's going back now, isn't it? Yeah, she was involved on the national squads when I was junior, probably under 15s, I think. She obviously works with a lot of players. She also works with Manchester University. And coaches
5
Northern
through.
as well, I think, in Manchester.
Stroked,
Yeah, I think
Chadwick.
that's the right decision. No argument there from Courtice. Just clip the
Yeah.
sidewall. And just checking that the referee was happy with all the pickups. So a good lead for Chadwick. I think again the ball there was good from Chadwick. Just a bit untidy really, wasn't it? But it was good.
Yeah, as we're saying with this court, the bounce, it's
Down.
because the ball kind of almost skids
And
through a
now
little bit. It's
4,
quick and it
6.
doesn't bounce that high. You get a lot of those sort of pickups, especially for someone like Chadwick who's tall, and if there's any sort of, I guess, limitations to a game, he's going to be getting down low. And like that there, he saw the quick boast and
5, 6.
Well, I don't think the problem was getting low there. I don't think she even saw it. Nor did we.
whipped it around.
If you had to play somebody for a tenner at this venue, would you play with your style of game? Would you be on this glass court or the back courts?
Yeah, I'd play on this court. I really
You
like
would?
it. Yeah, yeah. I'm a big glass court fan. I think that's probably just because the rallies are shorter.
If I'd have asked you that 10 years ago, you'd be on the back
Yeah,
courts.
100%. I'd be on the back courts with the heating turned up. I'd be flying around.
And you haven't changed one bit in 10 years. And still look about 21.
It's good. It's moisturiser. It's good moisturiser. Great skin routine.
You have to send me the link for those.
That's a great shot.
Wow. That is how to play a cross-court drop shot. Just feathering it into the nick. Absolute roller here from Chadwick. Oh, and again, same area. Do drop in.
And Courtice hasn't done a lot wrong here.
Well, you think of Courtice more as a shot maker compared to Chadwick, but two fantastic shots there.
7-9.
But Courtice staying in touch. She generally likes to keep the pace a little bit high, you'd say, in the hitting.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she's probably slightly more mobile than Chadwick. She's going to try and use that to her advantage.
Poor error there. You could see real frustration from Chadwick, quite rightly.
Yes, left. 8-9.
Were you a fan of glass courts back in the day, or were you for the traditional?
Yeah, it was. Usually because it meant you'd done well in the tournament. Especially when I was playing, because they weren't as prevalent back then, you know. Courts like this being permanent. Didn't happen as often, but I mean, obviously they vary quite a lot. They were, when I was playing, there were quite a lot of perspex courts.
Yeah.
And it changed to being more glass, which is
thought it
less forgiving when the ball's tight. Just a bit of a query on the line
We'll
here.
Play left on it, please. Play left on it, please.
Chadwick clearly not happy with the let.
9-all.
What did you see that?
Play
Could
left
you-
on it, please.
I thought
I mean, your eyes are better than mine.
Marginally.
Good job, PJ's not here.
I actually thought it was in, but
Down.
That was close.
10-9.
Really
Okay.
close. I mean, it could have gone up and we'd have been applauding Chadwick. And you've got to attack on here, as we keep saying, but it's clipped the top of the tin and it's given a game ball for a 2-love lead to Courtice.
yeah, big momentum shift here. Obviously, Chadwick leading for the majority of this game, and it's just come away from her in the.
Out.
Oh,
the
she's
last
overcooked
stages.
it. Overcooked it.
11-9, game to Courtice.
Rachel Chadwick,
Courtice leads.
absolutely
2
disgusted
games
with
to
herself,
love.
but Courtice, as you say, did really well to come back. She looked like she was going to lose that second game, but Courtice has taken it 11-9 in 9 minutes. She leads by 2 games to love.
15 seconds. Time.
So a lot of work to be done now for Rachael Chadwick. I'm not sure of the if her father is a good player or how much knowledge he's got, but there's going to be. Doesn't always matter, does it? You know, you need a lot of encouragement, and she played pretty well in that second.
Yeah, I mean, she was leading for the majority of it. She had 2 to 3 point cushion most of the way through the game, and then just at the latter stages, it just kind of came away from her. There was a couple of decisions, a bit of a break in her focus, and obviously Courtice took advantage of it, which I think is probably one of the biggest things at sort of this level, because they're not massively different in rankings, and a lot of the time the actual difference is just mental focus when it comes down to the business end.
Absolutely. And look at this. Again, just an unbelievably quick start for one of the players. And it's very much what the doctor ordered in terms of Chadwick, if she's going to have a chance in this match.
Yeah, the squash that we're seeing from Chadwick, she's definitely capable of winning this match. It's just whether she can keep it together for long enough.
Yeah, and as you alluded to, occasionally she does blow up, doesn't she, temperament-wise? She gets very just frustrated with herself, not not anyone else, but it can sort of affect 1 or 2 points. That's very tight work from Courtice. Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, Courtice, she's pretty calm, isn't she? She's haven't heard anything really from her. Just
Not a squeak.
No, going about her business.
Just rushing it a little bit there, Chadwick. She's doing the right thing though, trying to step up the court and attack and take the ball early. But perhaps went a little bit flat on that volley boast. Good shot. Set up for though, wasn't it? The overhit length from Chadwick. There you see coming off the back wall. Nice and easy for Courtice. A little bit of luck there. Do you find that area often on this court? Local knowledge?
I don't actually. I think it's probably just because my cross courts aren't accurate.
Never make the side
no,
wall.
yeah, they don't make the side wall. Straight down the middle. There's been a massive drop off here from Chadwick. 3 or 4 hours in a row, and the lucky nick. And Courtice is back in this after being down 5-love.
That's quick from Courtice. Impressive movement.
Yeah, she's a good mover, Courtice. I'm been impressed with this. She's got a good frame, pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think if these two were athletes, well, they are athletes, squash player athletes, but in athletics, Courtice would be the sprinter, and Chadwick the long jumper.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe even a high jumper.
Yeah. Both with really good attributes for squash.
There we go. 7-6. Chadwick being vocal again. 7-6 down.
a bit speculative there from the back of the court.
And out. 8-7. And out. 8-all.
It's great width on the cross court from Chadwick there. Second bounce, just as the ball's hitting the sidewall. It's going to be a stroke.
Courtice. And out. 9-8.
Some good play here from Chadwick, really taking the ball early, making Courtice do some work. She's keeping it going as well. It's good play. Now you hear the roar from Chadwick.
9-all.
She's pretty fiery, isn't she?
She
I
is,
told
yeah.
you,
She's
she-
raw and pretty vocal in the fist pump as well.
Yeah, as I said earlier, she really doesn't give up, and that's it's a great quality.
Yes, sir. 9-all.
9-all.
Certainly deserves this a game, doesn't she? At least
Definitely.
Chadwick.
Yeah, I've been like the beginning stages of the last two games. She's been really impressive. Like I said, it's just she's just dropped off, and there's been the odd mistake here and there. And Courtice has taken advantage of it.
Oh wow, that was a fantastic shot from the back of the court.
10-9. Game ball.
Backhand boast, whipped in. Some ferocity. That was the stroke earlier, or what she wanted to be a stroke. So Chadwick has a game ball to take this to a fourth.
Will she convert, Parky?
Well, I hope she does, because as we said, she does deserve it, and she's played some good squash here. Certainly doesn't deserve to go out in three. There's the chance, and she's gone for it. I mean, perhaps.
Hit the
I
tin.
don't know what you'd have done there. It's easy from here, but maybe just a little soft drop shot with some margin for error.
Yeah, yeah, she's
on
gone
the
for it
volley.
there.
Yeah, I mean, she's slapped the top of the tin. Courtice was floundering in the back. So another tie break here, and another chance for Courtice in this third. That's a clever shot. Clever shot. Not going for the nick,
No.
just fading it across. Good awareness here from Courtice.
Courtice's first match ball, just to get her into the second round of this AJ Bale National Championships.
Stroke to Chadwick.
You can see a deep breath there from Courtice. Obviously feeling it a little bit physically. Just clipping the side wall there and giving the point away. So parity in this tie break.
It's one match ball saved for Chadwick.
Well, we can only imagine what happened there, because we got the front view. Here we go.
Oh,
I mean, she went for that boast, but she got a little bit of luck, didn't she? Or more than a little bit. So another game ball here for Chadwick. Another chance.
She's still very relaxed, Courtice. She's obviously got a 2-game to love lead, but
Oh dear, not anymore. Not anymore. Chadwick gets the game that she deserves, at least. Taking that third game in another tie break. And there the two coaches go off to their chargers as Chadwick takes the third. 13-11, 11 minutes. Courtice leads by 2-1.
so Rachael Chadwick started off with a big 5-love lead in this game. Then as the game progressed, a few errors creeping in, and Courtice found her range. After saving one match ball, Rachael Chadwick managed to take this third to bring us into a fourth game.
Seconds. On court, please. Courtice leads 2-1. Chadwick to serve.
So Rachael Chadwick takes the third game deservedly. She's pushed hard, and as we say, she's played some good squash. Now, these two played last month in the Edinburgh BSPA event, which seems to get stronger and stronger every year.
And then 1 love.
And we actually had, I think, Kareem Abdul-Gawad won the men's event.
Yeah, the men's event was so strong. I mean, you had Kareem Abdel-Gawad, Joel Makin, Paul Cole, who actually went out pretty early to Greg Laban.
He reached the final, didn't he?
He did. Declan James.
Yeah, very
Daryl
strong.
Selby, Alan Klein. Yeah, it was. I mean, for a non-PSA event, it's probably one of the strongest ones in the world. You'd probably have to say.
Well, the Lobbans, Greg and Donna, were both in the final, and Donna managed to convert, but her husband not. Although we can't complain, it's not a terrible result losing to Gawad. But in the semi-finals, these two played, and Julianne Courtice won in 4. But Chadwick apparently picked up a bit of an injury, hence the 11-2 fourth game. So we've gone to 4 again. Both players looking pretty fit at the moment and ready for the battle.
3-1.
Yeah, there's no signs of either of these players tiring at the moment. Chadwick's still pretty mobile, so is Courtice.
Will a player going to get a run, a real momentum swing again like we've seen so much in this match? Or are they going to stay fairly close through this fourth game?
3-4.
quite like to see them both sort of playing well at the same time. It's been quite patchy, isn't it? Like one player's had a run of 4 or 5 points, and another one will have a run of 4 or 5 points. There's not been any major periods where they're both playing well together.
Do you think that's a case of? I mean, I know you love this court, but you've been playing here or coaching here for a long time. If neither player's that used to the court, that can affect it.
Yeah, massively. I think it's a type of court where if you're controlling and you're getting on top of someone, if you're receiving that, it literally feels like you can't hit the ball.
Yeah, you lose a lot of confidence.
Yeah, it's really hard to get a rhythm if someone's moving you around and dominating, which is probably what's been happening here. Strings going for Rachael Chadwick there. It's quite interesting. She almost pretty much gave up that point straight away rather than trying to carry on with the broken string.
Yeah, it was strange.
It's not the usual scenario where if you're pretty streetwise, then you just try and create a let.
just hit it somehow. That's a wonderful shot.
Just
from
hit
the
it
back of the
somehow,
court.
then run into your opponent.
Till somehow the strings make it come straight back into your forehead.
Yeah.
But none of that on that last shot from Courtice. Great control.
And out 5-6.
Oh, this is closer. It's more level. The scoreline's been a lot closer for this fourth.
That was careless from Courtice, wasn't it? From there, it's not sure it was the right shot either.
Yeah, talk about Courtice being relaxed. She's almost too relaxed. It's kind of, she's just throwing balls in. Looks like she's not really that focused.
Well, I think she's been feeling the fatigue for sort of 5 to 10 minutes now, more so than Chadwick. That's exactly what Chadwick wants. I think she does probably prefer the longer matches to Courtice.
Oh,
It was clear there was
stroke.
clearly contact with the racket and it affected the swing.
I don't know about that. What do you think about that, Parky?
Or was it prevented or affected?
I mean, she swung for the ball and
Hand out.
she hit the ball, so I can't. It didn't seem to have even really affect the shot that much.
No, didn't seem to affect or prevent.
No.
Definitely not prevent. Yeah, on first glance, a little bit harsh.
No, pick up.
But perhaps a bit of justice there for Chadwick. And both players do seem to be playing well at the same time and running at parity now in this fourth.
Yes, left.
Chadwick getting edgy there.
Well, she's the one more likely to, isn't she,
Yeah.
than Courtice? Everyone's different.
Some good play from Courtice, really moving Chadwick around now.
This is probably one of the longest rallies
No left.
of the match. Yeah, she got through, didn't she? I think she got through the initial minor contact. I think that's the right decision, although it seems harsh.
Now 8-7. Play up. 8-7.
Courtice not happy with Chadwick gesturing during the rallies. What's the rule on that these days? They changed it recently, didn't they?
Well, you're not allowed to do it. basically. And if it's off-putting the opponent, then you're not allowed to do it.
But
It's tight work.
Can you as if your opponent is waving their arm around, what is can you get a stroke for that as a penalty, or what's the procedure?
I think it's quite, as in a lot of these things, depends on the referee, but recently there's been quite a few players diving around and
Yeah.
there's sweat on the floor, so that's different.
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
I think you might have to have a word with John Massarella.
John Mazzarella, is he here? I'm gonna go and speak to him after this game. Get this clarified.
Just not finding the line there, Courtice. She did there. What was that?
Yeah, it was good. It was miss. I don't think it was clean, but
Well, got exactly the right line, whichever part of the racket she hit it with. And she now has 3 match balls, Julianne Courtice. As I say, I feel the last 10 minutes or so, she's been working really, really hard. Not particularly enjoying that last part because it's been physically hard. Chadwick's been making it so. Courtice, or both of these girls are fighters, but it's Courtice that comes through. Just thanking Annette Pilling there. She takes the match 12-10, 11-9, 11-13, 11-7 in 42 minutes.
Half time.
Welcome back to this British National Championships 2020, sponsored by AJ Bell here at Nottingham University. First men's match on this glass court today. And we have one of the favourites, Declan James, in more ways than one, against Patrick Rooney, both players of England. Declan James actually hasn't played this event for a couple of years. And the last time he played was 2017, and he's a Nottingham boy, born and bred. So he's well, he has been ranked English #1, but there's so much competition this year. I think probably more than any of the years for a long time. So many contenders. And Declan James, 21 in the world currently. But he's got a tough game today against Patrick Rooney, coached by Malcolm Willstrop, who you can see just there pointing at the court on the right-hand side. He's 60 in the world, from the northwest. And these two will know each other's games really well. I'm sure they've trained together quite often. It's interesting that Declan James' coach these days is Nick Matthew, you can see on the left there on the front row, just doing some kind of training. He's always training. And again, joining for me, Simon Park, for this match is Lewis Walters, and you're actually related to Declan James.
I am, yeah, he's my cousin. And not a lot of people know that, actually.
Yeah, that's true. I thought I'd point it out.
Yeah, it's surprising that more people don't know that. So what's your predictions for this match?
It's I know that Pat Rooney can definitely trouble the top players. I mean, he's done it before. Particularly going back to Nantes again. I keep mentioning Nantes, but really.
You watch a lot of Nantes, didn't
well,
you?
I've been commentating on that one the last few years with Joe Barrington, and he really should have beaten James Willstrop in that event. James actually lost to Declan James
in that final,
in the final, as you will know, as is your cousin.
As my cousin, yeah. Yeah.
You know a bit more about him than most of the players on the circuit. But I mean, obviously, if I had to put my house on it, I'd back Declan James here. But it's going to be a tough match.
Yeah, it will, and I think obviously Patrick's playing style, it'll be quite interesting to see how effective that is against Deck. 'Cause obviously Pat likes to attack a lot and mix it up, and it's as we almost talked about a little bit in the last match, Deck being tall, Patrick changing the angles, and he likes to hold it a lot. What sort of damage that can do or will do to Declan.
But sometimes I think when you've got two players with perhaps some similarities, that can be a problem for the lower ranked player.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
playing
definitely.
into the hands of the higher ranked player, the more experienced player.
Patrick Rooney's just been out in the USA, playing a couple of events out there. He actually, the only reason I know that is because he was staying with Ollie Holland, which Ollie Holland's a Nottingham boy who's junior European champion.
Exceptional junior,
Yeah,
Holland, yeah.
European junior champion.
So he's based in the States now.
Yeah, he moved out there in the summer. So I think Patrick was staying with him. I think they're sort of similar age group, so they caught up out there. Ollie also went to Nottingham Uni.
So many Nottingham connections.
There's a lot of Nottingham connections. There's too many.
Well, Deck looks very keen to take the ball early on that backhand side. He likes to sort of try and control proceedings from there.
Yeah, he does. He likes that backhand side, backhand volley drop. Uses his reach. Nightmare to play an alley game against.
I'm sure you've played a few against him.
Yeah, I've played a couple in the last 20 years against them.
Down and out. 1-all.
Rooney recently reached the final of the London Open.
Down and out.
Just going out to Willstrop in the final that time in 4.
Yeah, so I think he's consistently been testing with top players, top English players. Anyway, I think rarely they struggle to get him off in 3, don't they? He always.
Yeah, he's got a lot of quality, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think he's got all the attributes. Certainly with the racket, he's got a lot of confidence in that department.
Definitely, yeah. I think for him, it's always been just his focus and keeping the ball out of the tin. Really, I mean, it's sort of, as you know, with those players that have got a lot of skill and can take the ball in regularly. Well, it's trying to find the right time to do it and not overdoing it. You know, I think if you look at someone like James, for example, when he was younger, I remember watching him play, and he had a tremendous amount of skill there. But when he started to move up the ranks, it's kind of using that skill to do the right things, which isn't always the most sort of flashy option, is it?
No. Well, James Willstrop has got the flair, but he can play straight all day long, can't he?
Yeah.
He can do the simple things.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a sort of similar thing for Patrick. He's obviously got the skill, but it's trying to figure out when to use it and how to use it. You know. It's a wonderful long drop from James. So he's off to quite a convincing lead here, the high seed.
Yeah, we saw in the previous match there was a lot of momentum shifts and swings. Hopefully there won't be as much of that in this match.
Yeah, I think obviously Declan from Nottingham, so he gets to play and train on this court quite regularly. I don't know how much Patrick's managed to get on this court. Obviously there's a glass court in Manchester, isn't there, which I'm assuming that he's probably...
Yeah, he would have trained on that quite a few times.
Yeah.
But as you know, there's always slight nuances and idiosyncrasies about the different courts around. There's one in St George's, there's one here now, there's one in Manchester. They're all slightly different, and then obviously the ones around the world. Deck actually plays PSL here as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Nottingham Uni.
Yeah, so he spends a lot of time on this court.
Oh, just a little bit fortunate. There's
Yeah,
the apology from Declan. How much do you think, I don't know if you've talked to him about this, obviously he's had 2 years away from the event. It's 2017 the last time I think he was injured last year. Was he injured the year before as well?
I don't know why he didn't play it the year before, actually. I know last year, it was maybe 4 or 5 days before. He was literally just hitting some lengths, doing a length game with one of the pros at the park, and rolled his ankle.
Just one of those annoying, innocuous injuries.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was going flat out or anything like that. It was a pretty gentle hit, and just twisted it, and like timing wise couldn't have been any worse, really.
How much do you think it's a case here of trying not to be over keen and over enthusiastic? A couple of reasons really. The fact that he hasn't played since 2017, and also that he's a local hero, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be really excited, aren't you, about playing this? And he's a serious contender as well for this event. He's been ranked number 1 in England. He's still one of the top seeds here.
Yeah, I think I mean, talk about the preparation for the event. It's going to be about just preparing for it the same as you prepare for any other event. Like you say, there's the other things going off outside of the court, a lot of friends and family going to come down to watch, but it's being professional and disciplined enough to sort of, when it's match time, to kind of just block all of that out and just treat it like another match.
It must be something in your family, because you're all just really unfazed. really cool.
Just unfazed. I don't know about cool. I think it's just unfazed. See on the front row there's Declan's dad, Mark James, and then
again unfazed by anything.
Mark went. Mark blinks during this match. I'll be fascinated.
That'd be amazing.
I'll be amazed.
Pat Rooney really being aggressive around the middle there, but backfiring a little bit.
7-2.
Yeah, similar sort of to the first match. Deck obviously off to a great start. Pat's kind of finding his range now and getting used to the court. Rallies are getting a little bit longer.
Down.
Oh.
And out. 3-7.
Perhaps just rushed it a little bit there. I mean, it was the right shot, wasn't it? It was definitely on.
Yeah, and he likes to take it in from that area, so it's again maybe a little bit of what you're talking about. Just his first match, tournament that he hasn't played for a couple of years, just trying to get settled in really. I don't think hitting 1 or 2 tins in this first game is going to deter him.
No, absolutely not. And he's got a good little cushion as well. Oh, some tight work. That's a great shot. Lots of head nodding there. As Rooney was clattering around in the back corner.
And out. 8.
It's always a nice feeling when your opponents sort of, well, you don't want them to be hurt, obviously, but clattering the racket against the wall in vain. Yeah, he could have had an easier first round, couldn't he? Or a first match on the glass court, sorry, here for Declan.
Yeah, I think
It's
to
tricky,
be
isn't it?
honest, I think this has changed because there was a redraw, wasn't there? And I think he was actually maybe playing Alan Klein first, so this is probably better.
Yeah.
Than his initial draw in terms of rankings, anyway.
He's really finding that length here, Declan James. Rooney recently losing out to another top young English player, George Parker, in 5, 14-12 in the 5th in Pittsburgh recently.
Out.
How long ago was that?
It's just a couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago.
Out. 4-8.
How long did it used to take you to get over jet lag?
Depends on where it was and how bad it was. Going to the States, places like that event was Pittsburgh, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad because I'd find, well, you do find that you wake up really early,
Yeah.
and that didn't bother me too much because I just get up, go for a coffee and train, and
Yeah.
obviously you'd be struggling a little bit early evening, wouldn't you? But not so bad as California.
So I always used to find that the struggle for me was not going; it was mostly coming back.
Yeah, and then if you fly east, it's basically flying east, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
If you fly east to Hong Kong and places like that, I found it bad there. Well, that was
He's
an
got it.
unbelievable get if you got that. One of Declan James' favourite shots, the cross-court nick on the forehand side.
There we go. Is he going to question? He's not going to question it.
He likes that one as well normally. It's the first time he's really gone all out for the forehand kill straight. Just clipping the tin. It's a good mini comeback from Rooney.
Yeah, definitely. Again, just finding his range now, and he's using the height really well. I think playing someone tall, sometimes it can be. You can sometimes be advised to not play high because they are tall, but I think sometimes that's the only way to get the ball past them.
Yeah, just really high or
Yeah.
really low.
Yeah. It's that mid-range that he wants to avoid. So some good work though. Good touch. He's getting him moving now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That was clever as well. Just he had a bit to do there, Rooney, and there was a possibility of Declan almost moving into the swing, which he didn't, and it almost made him hold the ball, and he just got the right pace on the cross court.
Yeah, and he got
That
some
wasn't
extra.
easy.
No. There's a lot of things going off there.
It really was. No, he's an intelligent player, Rooney.
I think he's got a really good backhand hold, Rooney, just sort of built into his swing. I don't know if you've been on court with him much, but even just when he's hitting a drive on that side, because he's got so many options and there's the hold built in, it's really hard to feel comfortable against him.
Yeah, I have been on court with him, not that recently, but maybe a year ago, and I didn't feel very comfortable. It's possibly something to do with my age.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that just because you're on a squash court?
Yeah, just as soon as I walk through the door.
Just putting your shoes on. He's done well to go round there. He could have come round the back and possibly looked for the stroke, but he's played the ball. There he goes. It's going to be affected or prevented.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Okay, play a left on that, please. I think there was still room for you to play the ball.
I'm not really sure. I mean, he's hit him on the backswing.
How's the room for him to play it if he's hit him?
Hit his left hand. If you just from that replay, watch Rooney's left hand here.
Yeah,
just clipped the knuckles.
So there probably wasn't room to play the ball if.
No, it has to be a stroke.
Probably wasn't room if he's hit him to play the ball, but.
I think we should get you in the referee's seat. Get somebody, we need somebody nice and chilled.
Yeah, I could think of a few things I'd probably rather do than referee. It's not my cup of tea.
What if the money was right?
Um,
You've poked up a bit.
I know,
now.
yeah. Everyone's got their price. Oh, this is close now. He's got to be careful here, James, because if Rooney gets this game, Rooney's the type of player that once he starts to get confident,
like that, his tail will go up.
Yeah.
And that was really well anticipated. I mean, it was slightly shallow, you have to say, from Declan James. 2 game balls now for the underdog, Patrick Rooney, who is looking pretty sharp. He's got Malcolm Willstrop in his corner. He's been working with quite a few years now.
He's doing well at picking those up.
Oh, wow.
It's not got that one.
It's well finished there from Declan James. One of the hardest shots to play, that, isn't it, with such a high backswing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you can play it, but to play it well,
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah, I think I've played it. Probably hit the service line, but I've played it. It's tight. It's tight work down this backhand side. Oh,
It's well adjusted from
that's
Rooney.
tight.
Both players really love the backhand. Pretty accurate.
Oh,
I don't know, I think that's a little bit harsh.
Yeah.
I think it was more of a safety element there.
yeah.
although-
Well, also Rooney's line, he had to come out because the ball came out into the middle, didn't he? So he needed to go through Declan really to have enough space to swing.
and it all happened very quickly, as you'd expect between these two. So into the tie break in this first game.
He's finding his length on the forehand side, Declan. Right there. Rooney probably wants to keep it off this forehand. Quite a bit of contact. Rooney's doing well at going round
Yeah, well, I think after that last decision as well,
that's
what a
great
shot!
That's a great shot.
After that last decision, he's got to go and play the ball. Anything slightly off, and he's not going to get a let. Malcolm Willstrop
Did he
there.
just clap his own
He
shot
did.
there? Patrick just gave his racket a little
I
tap.
think he did actually, but
Yeah.
Malcolm Willstrop was applauding, which is quite
It's
rare.
just rare. Have you ever had Malcolm? That was. Oh.
Pick up this okay.
Have you had Malcolm in your corner before? Obviously, you've trained with him a lot, but have you actually had him?
Years back, yeah, a long time ago. I think he helped me in Egypt, but also as a junior, particularly when I was having coaching with him back in the day.
Was that a scary experience having him speak to you in between games, or?
No, not at all. No, not when you're used to him in coaching every day.
Yeah, I worked with him a bit, and I mean, I get along with Matt really well, but I just imagine it'd be quite scary if I'd not played a good game and had Malcolm coming down to speak to me.
It's been a long time actually since he has spoken to me in between games, but he just keeps it very simple.
Yep.
You know, like he does with his coaching day to day. It's always very simple. I'm sure it hasn't changed. Oh, that's a big first game. You heard the roar from Declan James, one of the contenders for this year's Nationals. A bit of a relief, you would say, for your cousin there, as Declan James takes the first game 13-11 in 18 minutes.
So Declan James got off to a strong start with a 4-1 lead. Some great variations and holds. Patrick built his way into the game as he started to get used to the court. Then towards the latter stage of the game, Declan saving 2 game balls to force a tie break and then eventually take the game 12-10.
Seconds. Time. James leads 1 game to love. Level.
So Lewis, if you were obviously Declan James is your cousin, but Patrick Rooney is the underdog. If you were his coach, and he's obviously lost the first game.
Patrick's coach or Dec's coach?
Patrick's coach.
Okay.
What would you? I mean, there's hardly anything in it, was there? But what would you say to him, just to sort of tweak things a little bit to try and?
I think he played a good at the back end of that. I think he was playing the right game tactically. He was mixing it up. He was using the holds, sort of not letting Declan control that backhand area that he likes so much. And I think he just got a little bit unlucky. There's the no let decision, which I think caused a little bit of a focus drop, and then Declan took advantage of that. But tactic-wise, I think he had it spot on, really.
Yeah, well, as we said, as we keep saying, both these players like the backhand, don't they? It's a strength area, as we see here, both trying to get the advantage, but Patrick Rooney just didn't see that one.
No.
Great line from Declan James.
Yeah, I think psychologically as well, Declan taking that game will be a bit of a blow for Patrick.
Yeah, and also, it seems obvious, but a lift for Dec.
Yeah, I think it's just relief, isn't it? And I mean,
Yeah.
as you know, like playing first round of any tournament, just getting that first game under your belt is a massive relief, and you can sort of start to let your game flow a little bit more after that.
Absolutely, that is wonderful touch from Patrick Rooney to get his first point on the board in the second game. Couldn't be any more accurate.
He's made the error. He had the opportunity there, and he's made the error.
That's an area where, as you alluded to earlier, the difference between the top players, and I'm including Declan James in that, being 21 in the world, is consistency, isn't it? He's been ranked a few places higher, obviously, but it's the consistency and not making, I mean, hardly any unforced errors. You just can't afford to at the top level.
No, I mean, if you think about the length of the rallies and how hard it is to actually get a point against another top player, you can't afford to be gifting them points. You know, you've worked hard to get yourself into that position, and once you're in that position, you've got to take advantage of it.
Just stayed in, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm impressed with the length hitting as this match wears on from Declan James. He's, as you say, he's used to this court, but he's really pummeling those back corners, not giving Pat Rooney much time to set up. That was a bit lucky, wasn't it? Sort of a strange bounce.
6-1, another strong lead for James. The beginning phase of this game. Whether Patrick can turn it around again.
Too many errors, too
Yeah.
many emphasis. I mean, that could have almost been a stroke. A bit lucky for Declan James, but he's really pushing on. You can see with his body language the relief of winning the first and just really settling into this event, this court, the tournament. Tricky opponent, Patrick Rooney.
Yeah, he's kind of sort of almost gone inside himself a little bit, Patrick, hasn't he? He's not, the first game
Oh
he
dear.
was... What happened there?
Sorry, Lewis. This I think it's quite a poor decision.
What?
It was. This looks like a stroke
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
It's been given a no let.
Oh, really? Wow.
She were chatting away.
Yeah. Chatting away, wasn't paying any attention to the actual squash. Right. It's a no let.
It's just one of those things again. The top players just deal with it, don't they? As you
Yeah.
can see
Yeah, I mean,
from
there's nothing you can do about it once the decision's
No.
given, is there? Oh, is he? Oh, he's got...
That is really the agility there from Pat Rooney.
Do you think some of these situations here at the front and kind of around this backhand area where he's making a lot of effort to go round James, is he almost putting himself at a bit of a disadvantage by almost trying too hard to play the ball? I think some of them...
I think so, yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I suppose by one or two of the decisions he's felt like he's had to.
Yeah.
And that's the way that the style of refereeing here,
Yeah.
which is the style of refereeing that we want in the PSA. We want players to play the ball, but
Yeah.
if there is genuine interference, then it has to be a let.
Yeah, I mean...
Enough
obviously-
interference.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously Dex, he's tall, and so if you're always having to go round the taller player, then that gives the taller player a bit of an advantage, doesn't it? So it's just trying to get that right, I think, from a referee's point of view. There we go. Some of the skill. The crowd didn't even see that.
I don't think we did.
No.
It's just again damage limitation really for Pat Rooney at this stage.
Yeah, I think he wants to. He's going to want to feel like he's playing well again by the end of this end of this second game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. He's found himself at a real disadvantage, and Declan James really pushing on here. This is the right idea from Rooney as well, just to make the rallies a little bit longer for a while. That's well played from Declan James.
Yeah, I think in that the first, once he got some work into to James and the rallies were extended, that's when, as a result of that, he started to get some joy at the back end of the first game. But he had to put the work into him first.
Really precise play there from Rooney. Another point on the board. And again.
Yeah, this is better from Rooney. Obviously, it could be too little, too late.
Well, you know what it's like, don't you? When you go far down, you can really relax and play some tremendous stuff. And you often wonder why you don't do it earlier on in the game.
Yeah, he's doing that now. 2 feet off the ground.
Again.
Oh, this is great stuff. I mean, if you one or two more points here, and Dec's in the danger zone, isn't he?
Oh wow,
that was
some incredible flair here from Pat Rooney. I mean, some of these shots he just wouldn't have played earlier on in the game, or even in the match. It's all flowing now, and I mean, you're talking about being on court with him. I have seen these shots. Well, I say I've seen them. I've seen them after they've bounced twice.
He's got that again. Go on, he's got it.
Oh wow. The racket goes, and Declan James, a major relief again for him.
He's not looking happy, James.
He nearly let it slip, didn't he?
I think he got that.
Yeah, he did.
He got it. Oh,
Been some great pickups here from Pat Rooney, but the referee's not having that one as Declan James takes the second 11-8 in 10 minutes. He leads by 2 games to love.
So a strong start for Declan James in this second game. Went off to a flying 7-1 lead. Patrick Rooney struggling to deal with the quality of James's length. However, Patrick managing to save 6 or 7 game balls to get back to 8-10. And then Declan James finally taking the game 11-8. He leads 2 games to love.
Well, there you see the match card, the run of points between Declan James and Pat Rooney, and it just shows the ebb and flow of squash matches quite often. Little 4-point run for Declan James in the middle of the second, which was quite damaging, and you thought it was pretty much over. But there you see the 5-point run from Pat Rooney to make it a little bit difficult, a little bit interesting right at the back end, but still 2-love to Declan James.
James leads 2 games to love all. Hand out, 1 love.
A taste of his own medicine there for Declan James. Really having to dig there. I think if Pat Rooney can play like he did towards the end of that second a little bit, maybe he won't get as many chances, but cut out the unforced errors and use his accuracy, he's got a chance at least of taking a game here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's shown that he's got the skill and he's capable of dealing with Declan's game. I think it's just, as we talked about before, it's just putting that together for a long enough period of time. Because obviously Declan's going to respond.
Like there, I mean, it was on, wasn't it? But you just can't afford to miss those kind of shots at this level.
No, and I think also like the margin for error that he's going for there. I mean, Declan's out of position. There's no need to go just above the tin.
Yeah, could have had a bit of margin there, couldn't he?
Yeah.
2 or 3 inches.
And I think as long as Patrick's confident in his own fitness, there's no reason for him not to go a little bit higher on the short stuff and just accept that the rallies are going to be longer and just kind of back himself.
3-2.
What do you think? Talk a little bit about Declan in terms of this season. He had a bit of a difficult start, didn't he? But recently he's had a couple of really, really close games with Gawad, which is obviously no mean feat. So do you think he's coming back to the kind of confidence levels he had it a year or 18 months ago?
I think he's working hard to do that. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult with Gawad, isn't it? Because Gawad has three twos with a lot of people. So I think he's had probably games with, I can't remember who else he's played, but recently.
Well, he had a few months ago he lost to Abu Algar in the in St George's Hill quite comprehensively. He didn't play well at all there, so that was one of the kind of matches
I think in TOC where he beat Yip from Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's a good win.
3-1. I think the big thing for him is getting the lower ranked players off convincingly. I think that's probably something that he's struggled with. I think he always plays
these kind of matches.
Yeah, I think he always plays well against people ranked above him. But it's the lower ranked players that he'll struggle with, and then obviously as you're going deeper into the tournaments, if you're kind of having longer matches with players that you probably should be getting off 3-love, then that's going to eat into your reserves later on when you are playing a higher ranked player.
Does he ever ask for your advice?
No.
Oh dear.
No, maybe. It's probably a good reason for that. I think since he started working with Nick there, that's going to sort of help a lot on more the mental side than anything. You know, I think game style wise, they're probably pretty different players, Deck and Nick, when Nick was playing, but I think Deck can learn a lot from him, just his approach to the game and how disciplined obviously Nick was, and how particular he was and analytical about every little part of his game.
Yeah. So you think it's a good match?
Yeah, I think. I mean, he started working with him towards the end of last year, and I think, like you say, his last couple of tournaments, we've played well and sort of shown some signs that he had like towards in last season. So yeah, I think it's looking positive.
I mean, Deck isn't one of those. He's not a party boy, is he? In terms of like, I know it goes out occasionally, but he works hard, is what I'm trying to say as well.
Yeah,
When he's training, he doesn't mess around, does he? He's very
No,
focused
yeah,
and
he's
very concentrated on the
yeah.
on what's going on in the court, and in the gym or whatever.
Yeah, there's not a lot of laughs on the court.
I wasn't actually meaning that, but that's another insight to the world of Declan James. Well, Nick Matthew likes to put a few quips in, so not sure how Declan
Great
would
forehand
respond.
drop. I've been really impressed with Rooney's retrieving. Obviously, everybody talks about. We've talked a lot about his skill and his hold and his ability to take the ball into the front of the court, but his movement, his retrieving ability's been.
Oh, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really impressive. It's, looks like he's worked a lot in that department.
He's a strong boy, isn't he? Like.
Yeah, and being that tall as well, it's quite hard to obviously be that agile.
Yeah.
And he has to be today. Declan James is just getting better and better during this match.
Eight 5. Rooney's going to respond. It needs to be soon.
No, he'll wait till match ball down.
Wait till match ball down and then play 4 of the best shots of his life, probably. Pretty hard movements by Rooney. He's not really showing any signs of slowing down. That's a great
I know,
pick
it's
up.
incredible.
Yeah.
Declan James reaches that one. Some brutal movements from both players. It's fired in really well from Declan James. Really positive. As we say, one of his favourite areas there, around the short line on the backhand volley.
Yeah, I think again it was the tightness that did it, wasn't it? It was just how direct.
Yeah, and it's forced a bit of a silly speculative return of serve from Patrick Rooney into the floor. So it's 5 match balls for Declan James, one of the favourites for this year's AJ Bell 2020 Nationals, and a great chance for him to go through in 3. And he does it. A very, very impressive performance in the end from Declan James. Was looking a bit difficult at some points of that match. It certainly was a tough draw for him against Patrick Rooney. But he comes through 13-11, 11-8, 11-5 in 40 minutes. Declan James through to the next round.
Another strong start for Declan in this 3rd game. Patrick Rooney coming through in the later stages again, but too little too late for Patrick.
Half time.
Welcome back to the British National Squash Championships 2020, sponsored by AJ Bell here at Nottingham University, and we've just had one of the contenders in the men's event come through in 3. We've now got one of the top contenders in the women's event, Sarah Jane Perry, up against young pretender Kiera Marshall. Kiera Marshall is currently studying at Birmingham University, coached by Chris Tasker. She's got a ranking of 197 currently, but she's only 18 years of age, still a junior, so I'm sure it's a case of just playing a few more events and getting a bit more experience and going up the rankings. Looks like she's pretty handy in the knock-up, not overawed by Sarah Jane Perry. Sarah Jane Perry, obviously coached by Rob Owen, and has achieved so much so far in her career. So of course, won this title before. How much do you think she'll be buoyed by the withdrawal of Tesnia Evans, or are there just too many contenders for that to be an issue?
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna affect things massively. Obviously, with Sarah coming into this event, like we talked about with Deck, obviously Deck not playing the event for 2 years, Sarah coming into the event as the number 1 seed, it's just another event, and she's got to prepare for it just like every other event, and take it one match at a time.
Well, you got to beat who's in front of you, don't you? That's the way you pick up the trophy. You don't worry about who you're playing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just concentrate on your own race. Sarah Jane Perry, currently ranked 7 in the world. She has been as high as 6 previously. Always entertaining, Sarah Jane Perry, whether it's good or bad. Obviously, she's got some great talent, some great skills. Sometimes some funny comments to the referees.
Yeah, I watched her play Emily Whitlock in the last event they played in. I can't remember which one it was, but it was pretty entertaining. There was lots of fireworks.
I can imagine. But it's a really big day for Kiera Marshall. I'm sure it's not her first time on a glass court, as we're saying, but glass courts are much more prevalent these days, even the British Junior Open. It's been used for a long time, obviously since Aberdale, but more recently at Birmingham University. But it's probably the first time, Liz, that she's played against somebody of Perry's calibre.
Yeah, and I think that's, from Marshall's standpoint, that's going to be an uphill battle playing Sarah Jane Perry, who's obviously ranked a lot higher and also very experienced on the glass court.
Marshall actually got to the final of the British Open in the 23s fairly recently, just a few weeks ago, losing out to Katie Maleth in 3. We have got quite a few good young girls though coming through, haven't we, with Alice Green as well.
Yeah, definitely, which is great for England squash. I think sort of with the recent retirement of Jenny Duncalf and Laura Mazzaro, obviously Sarah's at the top of the game, and Emily as well, but there's kind of almost a bit of a gap age-wise between Jenny and Laura, and then sort of the next batch of girls coming through. You know, so it's good sort of for the future.
We have Lucy Tamel playing actually against Alicia Mead. That's actually over at the park, or known as Nottingham Squash Club. And we have Jasmine Hutton as well playing later on today against Alice Green. 2 young players. So it is looking good on the women's side with the younger players.
Yeah, which is great. I think on the men's side, there's always been kind of a constant stream of players. Not necessarily always right at the top of the game, but there's a lot. The men's nationals is always full of quality, right down to the qualifying events. You know,
always good depth.
Yeah, and it's good to see that's happening in the women's game as well now. Lost the ball.
Well, Sarah Jane Perry looking very comfortable and confident so far against her younger opponent. Taking everything in her stride. It's quite a long stride as well.
It's, very long stride.
Always sporting the, I don't know what you call it on the right arm.
The sleeve.
The sleeve.
Sleeve, yeah. Do you know why that is?
She had some problems there.
Right.
I think it just keeps it warm.
Right.
I've not seen it in pink before though.
No. Okay. Yeah, because I remember a long time ago, maybe sort of 4 or 5 years ago, Mohammed El Shabaghi used to wear something similar. I think he had the whole sort of long sleeve skins on underneath his t-shirt, which I have tried, but I find it's hot. It's very hot. I think when you're playing, you wanna feel as cool and as free as possible. Sort of
Can't get any cooler than you, Luke.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, what a shot! That was cool.
So I see in the men's game as well. Like a lot of the guys now are wearing the calf socks. Do you?
No, I'm not an advocate of the calf socks.
Calf socks.
Not a thing for me.
No.
It's not big on the racquetball tour.
No.
Sorry, racquetball masters.
Racquetball masters. Doesn't Tim Vale doesn't? I think Tim Vale wears them, doesn't he?
Probably does. New slimline Tim Vale.
But yeah, it's interesting. Sort of like it's obviously Nick Matthews. Sort of the back end of his career started wearing the calf socks. Gregory Gaultier uses them as well. Rami Ashur was using them before he retired.
Yeah, but what have those guys achieved?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to start wearing calf socks thinking about it.
You should.
Yeah.
So 6 game balls for Perry in this first. She's not disgraced herself here though, Marshall, has she? It's a nice finish. Coolly done from Perry.
No, I mean I think she's been in the rallies. Definitely, it's not been a complete walk in the park for Sarah.
So Sarah Jane Perry takes that first game, 11-4 in just 6 minutes. She leads by 1 game to love. So there you can see the scorecard. It's quite interesting though, isn't it? Just to not so much in this game, but when the matches are closer, you see the massive run of points there. First point on the board for Marshall, but then Perry dominates in the next 6 points, and then it's quite comprehensive really, wasn't it, at the end?
Yeah, I think it's been a pattern that we've seen so far today. I think it's a pattern in the earlier rounds, what we're seeing now with one player ranked significantly higher than the other. There's big runs of points, but like you say, when the matches start to get a little bit closer, like further down the road in the tournament, the later rounds, I think from the scorecard perspective, you'll start to see a lot more to-ing and throwing between points, less long runs.
And I think it's when you see 5 setters and stuff, that's when you really if it's maybe a 15-13 in the fifth, you really see the changes, the subtle changes
Yeah.
in the match, and where matches are won and lost.
Did you used to watch a lot of your matches back when you were playing?
Some of them, we started getting a few more kind of copies of and DVDs from England squash, sort of late 90s, and because obviously if you weren't on TV in the later rounds, then you know your match is lost.
Yeah.
So as they became more and more available, yeah, I'd watch them, particularly with obviously the coaches, and
Yeah.
try and analyse things, especially against some of my rivals like Jonathan Power, Peter Nicol, and try and find the weaknesses and where my weaknesses were.
Did you used to watch a lot of your rivals, your opponents?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
I remember speaking to Peter Nicol.
Great finish.
Not that long ago. No, it was a while ago now. But I remember him saying that he obviously used to watch like Power and those guys that is kind of immediate rivals, but he said that he didn't used to watch much squash in general, just because he was so focused on his own game. He didn't just kind of stick around and watch random squash matches in the early rounds, because he was just so focused on his game. So he said the only people that he used to watch were kind of players that he struggled with, which was only one or two players.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, and I think you get like that. I think in my experience, I got like that. I was very, very keen when I first came onto the tour, and some of the older players used to take the mick out of me because I watched every single match,
Yeah,
had every single draw.
Yeah.
When I was, and I used to fill them in, with an actual pen. And I'd be watching all day long, and I think as you get older, that starts wearing off a little bit.
Yeah.
Concentrate on your own.
Once you've watched your 400th squash match
Yeah.
for the month.
It's all just a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously nowadays, like you were saying earlier, there's a lot more squash. Videos of matches are a lot easier to get hold of. Most matches are streamed, or it's easy to record a match on your phone or something like that. Whereas obviously back in the day, sort of 100 years ago when you were playing,
Yeah, black and white days.
Then it was like you said, only the later rounds were actually filmed, weren't they?
Yeah, I think the players of today just expect it, don't they?
Yeah.
It's always like you say. You can even do it on your iPhone. It's dead easy to do that, and then sit with your coach or whoever and analyse afterwards. We're even streaming Yorkshire League these days.
Oh yeah. Wow. Is that off your phone or
The club phone.
club phone?
No commentary, but it's just good to, for squash fans, just to see there's some quite high-level matches at times. Yeah, she's getting very frustrated here. It's just not tight enough from Marshall.
No.
See, a bit of a golfing class here, but she wants to come off the court here, having taken something from it. I don't know what she's like, but if she expects to win, you've got to give it a go, obviously. But there is a golfing class at the moment, and she's got to take as much as she possibly can from this experience. Oh, wow. The strings were singing on that shot, Lou.
Yeah, that was a great shot from there. Cross court backhand drop.
It just floated in, didn't it? It was almost like a lob drop, and it just rolled out the nick.
Yeah, Sarah's starting to relax. Well, really starting to relax now and just show some of her skill. Do you think Sarah will be trying to win every point here?
I think so. By all accounts, they know each other quite well because they train in they've got different coaches, but they train in the the same area of the country in the West Midlands, and
Would she take the bagel?
I don't know. And she seems pretty ruthless to me most of the time, SJ, but maybe with this sort of gulf in level, she wouldn't be that mean. I think she's just looking for the win, basically a comprehensive 3-love win. So she takes the second game 11-3 in 5 minutes. Sarah Jane Perry leads by 2 games to love.
Seconds. Perry leads 2 games to love. Love all.
So it'd be nice to see Marshall pick up a few more points here in this third. She's obviously been well coached and decent technique, and she's had some success at junior level.
Yeah, I think she's got a lot of potential. I was thinking this circumstance, this situation, there's a lot of things that are working against her. Obviously, we talked about the glass court, and then the class of Sarah. It can be a little bit overwhelming just stepping into this situation, playing Sarah on the glass court in the Nationals.
You need it though, don't you? You need these experiences. I think,
Massively, yeah.
As a junior or a young player coming through, there's no way you're gonna get to that feeling, get to that point where you're going to win these events or go deep if you don't have these kind of experiences.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good to get them out of the way young, to be honest. You know, obviously at the moment she's probably pretty uncomfortable and not enjoying the situation maybe as much as she could be, but the next time this happens in sort of years time or whenever, then she's going to be more prepared, feel more at home, and sort of have the experience of this, you know. So it's just
absolutely. I mean, all the best sportsmen and women look at these kind of occasions and talk about how much they learnt, how many mistakes they made, how many times they were able to correct that. That's what the best players do. I'm sure SJ's been through that herself in the early days. It's made her the player that she is.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of how you respond to these situations, what you take away from it, and what you do between now and the next time you're in this situation.
course, for Perry, she is just focused on the next round. Obviously, she's won this event before, but she knows how to win big events. She won't be looking too far ahead. She'll just be happy to shake hands here. Slightly delayed, though, with that error on the backhand side.
Did you have a set routine between rounds when you were playing, in terms of what you do after a match? And
yeah, but it was different depending on whether I won or lost.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
Actually, not always, but yeah, I think it depends on. I mean, if you've had an easy first round, which is which is what this is looking like, then you could probably do a little bit more in between in terms of your practice and what you do in between. Sometimes you get one day off, sometimes you get two, depending on the event. But with 5 setters, obviously it's a whole different ball game. There's a lot of icing going on.
Yeah.
A lot of pain in between the rounds. Never mind on the court.
Yeah.
But it's stuff that you have to go through in order to win an event.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Obviously, we talked earlier about Nick Matthew working with Declan James now, and I think Nick's one of those people in terms of his routines in between matches. It was very sort of meticulous, and like you say, almost did more work in between the matches in terms of the physio, the recovery, the icing, eating the right food, stretching, all of that. Was just as much work as he was putting in for the actual match,
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a real student of the game, but Sarah Jane Perry is a student of the game also, and she's a former champion. She's beaten her young opponent. She's given her the respect that she deserves, and I think that's good. You don't want to pander to them. You want to play the best you can, and she comes through 11-4, 11-3, 11-3 in just 20 minutes. Sarah Jane Perry through to round 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, for our final match of this afternoon's session, please welcome onto court from England, Charlie Lee, and his opponent and defending champion, seeded 2 for this year's AJ Bell British National Championships, James Willstrop.
Green, that should be interesting to up-and-coming young English girls. And then the Scotsman, the Flying Scotsman, Alan Klein against Nick Wall, Alison Waters versus Lily Taylor, and then finally the number 1 seed from Wales, Joel Makin, taking on the young pretender, Sam Todd. Well, I'm Simon Park, and joining me once again this year in the commentary box is Connor Sheen. Good afternoon, Connor.
Afternoon, Parky. Good to be back.
Great to have you back. You were just, I saw you in the crowd earlier watching your pal Pat Rooney.
Yeah.
How do you think he did?
I thought he was really unlucky, actually. I think the first game he had chances, obviously having game balls from not really a winning position. I think he was like 8-3 down, and then managed to go up to 10-8. Kind of shows what Patrick's about, really. It's kind of like a bit of a patchy performance for him, but I think that first kind of settled deck as well. I think if Patrick would have got that first, then he'd have felt a bit more tense. But as it was, kind of just showed his class at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a big relief for Dak, I think, winning that first, because he knew that. I mean, Rooney was a difficult draw for him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really, he's a difficult draw for most people these days, Patrick Rooney.
Yeah, he's definitely a test for anyone. When he's playing well, he's had some really good results against top 30 players. I've seen him. We play for the same German league team, and I saw him beat Omar Mossad.
It's a great win. That's probably his best win, isn't it? I think so far.
Yeah.
And this is a similar sort of thing.
Beating Darryl Selby.
Yeah.
In Tring.
And he's pushed all the top players. Pushed James Willstrop before. And this is a similar sort of matchup, really. Charlie Lee perhaps not quite at Pat Rooney's level at the moment, because he's been coming back from an illness, which you'll talk about in a second. But he's got the defending champion, and obviously needs no introduction, James Willstrop. He's been a former world number 1. But Charlie Lee can play, can't he?
Certainly can, yeah. He's I think when he was injury and illness free, maybe 2 years ago, he was in the top 100 in the world. He's won a PSA title as well, and he was kind of the next one just behind Patrick. I think they were around the same level. I think Charlie might have beaten him as well once or twice. So England squash are definitely looking at him and Patrick in the same kind of group to kind of push the likes of George and Richie and people like that. But unfortunately, had that chronic fatigue syndrome, but it was just great to see him back playing.
Absolutely. He's I know both him and his brother and their father are so passionate about squash. Commentated many times at St George's, where they're a big part. Great start.
Yeah, he'll just be looking to play well here, Charlie. There's obviously no pressure on him playing like someone at the calibre of Willstrop. He's just going to try and play his best, do himself justice, and just take it step by step.
What would you say his best attributes are? Him and his brother are quite different in style, aren't they?
Yeah, he's clever. He knows what he's doing. He can work the ball around really well. I think his brother's a bit more attritional than Charlie, but I think Charlie's got more quality going in short. I'd say maybe he'll become more attritional as he gets older, but he's definitely got the game to kind of push Willstrop up the court if he gets a chance.
Yeah. Can't leave him there. And that's one of the hardest things. I've played Willstrop a few years back. There's 11 years between us, but I know the feeling when you're on court with him. It's very hard to actually put work into his legs, because he's such a controller. He's so accurate, the marksman. And I know Charlie's an accurate player himself, but just reads the game so well, doesn't he, Willstrop?
Yeah, I've been on court with him a few times as well, and you think you've hit a decent shot to the back, and then you get yourself on the tee, but you don't feel as comfortable because you can still play 5 different shots from the back corner, which not many people can do. So you never really feel comfortable at any point.
He's got so many options. It was just wonderful to see him win for the second time this national championships last year. 11 years between the first and second title. Yeah,
11 years. Well, it's Nick Matthews, isn't it?
Yeah,
and Darryl Selby got one as well.
Yeah.
But Pete Barker's livid. Was he number 5 in the world at one point?
There was Lee Beechell as well, I think, in there towards the end of Lee Beechell's run.
Pete Barker must have made the semis for 11 years.
I think you're right. Pretty much.
For a decade of semi-finals.
Yeah.
Not winning one.
That was as rare as hen's teeth from James Willstrop. A flick into the tin.
That was down.
Yeah, he's just checking that. I think he took his eye off it, but I think he'll know from the contact that it was down. Now, watch here. There's just a bit of a flick of the wrist, and it's straight in the tin.
Oh yeah, that's down.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Well, the ref didn't know.
Nor did Willstrop. you think Lee's capable of doing anything here? Taking a game, maybe? Snatching a game?
I think a game might be optimistic. You just don't know with Charlie, because he's already had 3 matches. Obviously beating a good win last night against Josh Masters in the qualifying finals. Obviously Josh coming back from hip surgery himself, so you had 2 guys who were coming back into like tournament play, not at their best, but you know, you just wonder how much that took out of Charlie. Doesn't seem like it's took too much out of him so far. Hope it's not.
Well, he's had that horrible illness that you mentioned that afflicted Peter Marshall so badly. You know, I'm assuming it's from overtraining, so it's something that I mean, it's not always the case, but in Peter Marshall's case it was, and it's saddening, really, isn't it? Because it's the sport you love, and it's so brutal, and you put everything into it to follow your dreams, and then you're knocked out by this.
It kind of makes it worse, because I think, you know, you mentioned his dad and his brother are also involved in squash, and it's like it's the whole family, isn't it? And then his dad's always doing stuff at the St George's, his club, and there's like, and his girlfriend Jazz is obviously playing.
Of course, she's on later today.
Yeah, so she's always, you know, you can't really get away from squashing and be or
not
watching
in
all
that
the time.
family.
No, and if you're not playing when you were top 100 in the world and just about to kind of attack the top 70, top 80, it's difficult, isn't it? Can't imagine he's had a good time of it over the past like year. I think he's been out for about 16 months, something like that. Properly.
Yeah, that's horrible. I've actually had the distinction of playing in serious matches against father and son in that family. I played, not against Charlie, but I played Danny Lee in about 1904. The father. And then Joe Lee, Charlie's older brother, I think probably 10 or 15 years ago. 10 years ago, maybe.
2 wins.
Was actually.
Yes.
It was.
Yes, Parky.
Wasn't expected to beat Danny though.
Oh, that's nice.
At the time. That's a beautiful flick.
Classic Holden flick.
Yeah. Classic Willstrop.
Oh, there it is.
It's a good song, that.
It's a great shot from Willstrop again. Flashing that ball across the top of the tin.
Well, he makes it look easy, doesn't he? It just winners come for fun, and 6 game balls now for the marksman, the defending champion here in Nottingham.
Nice no-let to finish.
Nice no-let. Not for Charlie Lee, but for Willstrop, yes. Just what the doctor ordered for the tall Yorkshireman, taking the first game 11-4 in 7 minutes. Willstrop leads by 1 game to love.
Yeah, pretty comfortable first game for Willstrop. Charlie not really finding his length on this court. He hasn't played on the glass court as yet. So that was a bit of a learning curve. Hopefully he'll come back a little bit more competitive in the second, but at the minute it's all Willstrop moving Charlie around the court. It's him who leads 1 game to love.
Willstrop leads 1 game to love. Love all.
I think we need to get this out of the way, Connor. You did actually play in this tournament, and I want to know how you got on.
Yeah, I did. Played, won Tuesday, and then I lost to James Peach. You'll know.
I do know.
Peachy.
Yeah. Play okay or not? Not a good performance.
I played all right, but thing is with Peachy, no one ever sees him, so you don't know how. Because he's in Bristol University, no one sees him.
I thought you meant he's just like a hermit.
Yeah, he stays in the wilderness. No one sees him play. No one really knows how he's playing, but he's all the way through juniors. He's quality.
Classy player.
He was up there, but then kind of didn't play as much as he went to university. Didn't choose the professional route. But when he's playing well, he's so difficult. He lost out to Ollie Pett last night, who plays Darryl at the park in the first round. But
be an interesting match.
Yeah, he looked good actually. Ollie Pett looked good last night.
He used to be. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he used to be exceptional player. Talking of exceptional, what a winner that was. It was Willstrop light from Lee.
And down to 2 all.
At this start, I'll just settle Charlie in the second. Not really featuring too much in the first game. But if he can just find his length at the start, he can try and move James around, because that's the way, isn't it, to kind of play him at pace and move him.
Yeah, I think he needs to try and extend the rallies. Not per se, not all the time, just for a while, like you say, to try and get into the match. He has got some skill of his own, as we've just seen, but I think just to try and extend the rallies at least into double figures more often than not in terms of shots. Then you can actually start working the physique of Willstrop a little bit.
How long is it from TOC? That would have been the last time he played competitively, wouldn't it?
I think is it around 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Around that.
He was playing well there. Lost out to Joel, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good performance. Yeah, that was a great game.
Obviously seeded to meet this year's final.
Yeah, pretty much the two best players in the UK at the moment.
Yep.
There's a good little insight into this event. Willstrop will be hoping that Sam Todd can do some damage later this evening.
Yeah, he's looking good as well, Toddy.
Yeah, he beat Owen Taylor, didn't he, in the
He beat Owen
qualifying?
Yeah, he beat Owen and then beat Simon Herbert.
Simon Herbert.
Yep.
Two good wins.
It's almost as big as Willstrop.
Yes, left. 5-2. Left.
It's good stuff from Charlie. He's just capitalised on a few opportunities at the start of this second.
Yeah, and in general, the rallies are slightly longer, aren't they? There's less errors. Oh, it's unlucky. Unlucky. He did that earlier. Oh, it was up.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Oh, my eyes are going.
Put those glasses on then.
Stand corrected. Yeah, he did that shot earlier. It's almost impossible to read. Starting to get a little bit hotter in here since you arrived, Connor. I'm not sure what it is.
Happens quite a lot, that.
Maybe cologne you're wearing?
Do you like it? It's Victor and Rolf. It's the brand.
Thanks.
Other colognes that are available.
What's that with the brand? It's tight work from Lee again.
He needs to keep it out that middle, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's got to find his corners, even if it's just lifting it.
I
Try and
think,
slow it down.
yeah, absolutely, and over-exaggerated width if he's going to go that way. Anything loose, particularly on this backhand side, is struggling. He's done
It's
well
better,
though
yeah.
to recover from that sticky situation.
Oh, that's nice.
It's great.
That's
It's
nice.
just enough hold, wasn't it? Anything slightly loose, and Willstrop either volleys it like he did on the backhand, or he
Oh.
just takes his time and holds it. It's absolute perfection.
Wait a shot as well, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that is great.
It's a joke. He's got it though.
Unbelievable stuff. Strong volley there from Lee. Just makes you go forward, doesn't he, Willstrop? You
Yeah.
have to cover the
Yeah.
front corners because he's so good there, and then he's got that option of holding in and flicking long. And whatever he does is is quality.
Yeah, it's brutal, isn't it? Like, 'cause you've got to get the other side of him.
You have to commit, don't you?
Because if you don't push up, then you're not constantly telling yourself to push up. You're just not getting the short ball. And then when you do start to push up, he sends it deep. Just the different patterns of play that he's got are so damaging.
Yes, lad. 7-6.
Yeah, he's one of a kind, is James Willstrop. I can't see there being, once he's retired, another player like him, especially in this modern game. I mean, you've got obviously very skillful players like Gawad around on the circuit, but
That's
he's
a different type, isn't it?
he's a different type of player, and he just, I think he slows it down and varies it a lot more than anyone else.
It's the pace control, isn't it?
Yeah, and he controls it so well, and it'd be sad to when he's gone. It won't be. He's just a unique player, James Willstrop.
7-8.
Trying to think who the next best kind of player is at taking people's movement away from them. Like, he's played Paul Call a few times on glass courts. Is where he's most effective against him, like Commonwealth Games, and he played him in TOC a couple of years ago. And he just
Well, when he plays well, yeah, I mean, against somebody like that, then he really he can really embarrass people at times. But I think it's probably Gawad in terms of changing the pace and mixing it up. And
Diego.
yeah, that's
Diego does it
that's a
well.
good call. It's a good call, especially someone so young as well. He could be taking the baton, as it were. Oh wow!
10-7.
It's just awareness, isn't it? And the calmness to be able to just keep redropping. So 3 game balls for Willstrop to take a 2-love lead. Plays that shot well, Charlie Lee, high up on the backhand. Oh, well played, Charlie
Nice.
Lee. It's good. It's good holding. He's matching Willstrop at times.
Yeah, he's not afraid to take him in, is he?
Certainly not. I mean, the first straight drive on the backhand was pretty good, but Willstrop read it.
Yes, lad.
So, what was the difference between that one and the one at the end of the first?
Not a
Wonder.
lot. Connor.
Talking about
Not a
minimal
lot.
interference. Just saying.
Yeah, just a slightly loose error there. He's still got the attacking mindset, which he's got to have. Just a little help there from David Campion getting out of the court. So James Willstrop takes the second game 11-8 in 11 minutes. He leads by 2 games to love.
Yeah, it's better stuff from Charlie in the second game. Managed to elongate the rallies a little bit better. Had Willstrop working into the front 2 corners. Went 6-2 up, I think, in the second. But, you know, you're not national champion for nothing. And James just showing his class, picking Charlie off, really. I think Charlie just needs to try and get back on the front foot and try and minimise James' opportunities and see what he can do in the third game.
Willstrop leads, 2 games to love.
See, Charlie Lee's got the quite a lot of support from some of the youngsters on the circuit. Lewis Anderson, Nick Wall, you see that?
Lucy Tamel,
Josh Owen.
the whole squad.
And Jazz Hutton, his
the missus.
girlfriend, should be playing later on. The missus. Be up against Alice Green at 5 o'clock on this court. Just I've got an interesting result coming through from the Park, Nottingham Squash Club. George Parker taking out the 5-8 seed from Scotland, Greg Lobban. 11-8 in the 5th in 58 minutes, so that's a bit of an upset.
Yeah, it's a surprising one, isn't it? That George hasn't started well this season, and Greg obviously beating Paul Collin, Edinburgh, and then beating Darryl, losing out to Gawad in the final. But he would have been coming in quite confident to this event. I know that it means quite a lot to him as well, the nationals.
Perhaps I know it was 2 weeks ago, but perhaps those efforts kind of emotionally taken a lot out of him.
Yeah,
doing so well in his home country as well. So the worst kind of start really for Lee here. Willstrop motoring on.
Loves that fight, doesn't he? Loves it.
Well, he's just got so much confidence. Did you see where that ball landed? The second bounce perfectly in the back wall nick. I mean, you mentioned weight of stroke earlier. There's no one better than Willstrop when he's playing well. And he looks in fine form, the defending champion. And this is a lot like how he was last year on this court. He really was able to control people and step forward. Actually be quite a bit more aggressive than he can be sometimes against the world's top players.
He's got a good record on this court, hasn't he? He beat Gaultier in the European individuals a couple of years ago.
Good point, yeah.
3-2.
Good memory. This is why you're here, Connor.
Yeah, I know. And then obviously winning last year. Not sure if he's played PSL on this.
I'm sure he will have.
Could be undefeated on this court.
I'll have to check that out.
Obviously got his father, Malcolm, in his corner. Had to help him with the vending machine just before they went on. Trying to get a bottle of water for James. Couldn't figure out where the... it's one of those vending machines where you could use card, and it was completely lost on him.
That would have been quite comical. Did you film it?
No, I didn't film it. Did get him a bottle of water though. It owes me £1.50.
Never see that again. Very rare, that error from Willstrop. Just clipping the top of the tin. Another thing about Willstrop is, much like Federer in tennis, you very, very rarely see him off balance. Even when he's making a mistake, he looks majestic.
A majestic mistake.
Wish I could say that about myself.
He never often plays a long shot, does he? Every shot kind of seems to be the right shot.
Yeah.
And he just plays it different ways, whether he puts hold on it or gets on it early.
I think everything he does, it's much the same as Nick Matthew did, but in a very different way, a different style, and that is playing with purpose.
Yeah.
Every shot is played with purpose. There's hardly any wasted shots. You know, unless you're under immense amounts of pressure, you're not going to waste that shot.
Yeah, that's something I know that they drilled into you at Pontefract. Every shot has a purpose. Play it to the best of your ability, each shot at a time. Good squeeze.
Plays that shot so well.
Yeah.
Willstrop. It's so difficult to read when he's coming in at that sort of fairly straight, almost down the channel. But 6 match balls now. And there's the reach from Willstrop as well. He's got everything. He's got speed, skill, focus, experience.
Oh, it's a nice post.
Just one match ball save there for Lee. Beautiful touch. And that's it. The defending champion. Very, very clinical, impressive performance from the Yorkshireman. Taking out Charlie Lee, who played pretty well. He's got to be proud of himself there. He's playing against the marksman, who comes through 11-4, 11-8, 11-5, 3-love in 27 minutes.
Yeah, he can't be too hard on himself, Charlie, you know, after everything that he's kind of come through over the past year. Just getting himself to the main draw of the Nationals this year. Obviously a smaller draw, 16 draw, is a great achievement in itself, and he should be pleased with that. Couldn't really do much today against an in-form number 2 seed, James Willstrop. And it's Willstrop who moves forward to the quarterfinals in this AJ Bell National Championships. 3-love.
So there we have the results. Courtice threw in 4, James threw in 3, Sarah Jane Perry a comfortable 3-love. Willstrop very impressive against Charlie Lee, coming through in 3. We have a little break now until 5 o'clock where Jasmine Hutton will take on Alice Green, Alan Klein against Nick Wall, Alison Waters against Lily Taylor, and then the final match, the number 1 seed from Wales, Joel Makin against the young pretender Sam Todd from Yorkshire. So join us again at 5 p.m.